right, today we are going to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and these are straight from your work. It is on page 223 and 224. And remember, if I do the work for you, you at least have to copy it down, all the work. You cannot just write the answer down. You have to show me your work, or my work, I should say. All work must be shown in order to get credit for it. So let's start with the easy one. Number 1. And the problem is 1/5 plus 1/2. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is I like your problems vertically. I like them written vertically. To me it's easier, and in the past I've seen kids make fewer mistakes. Now I've got to first of all find the least common multiple of my two denominators. There is a shortcut method. Your book talks about it on page 219. If both of these are prime, you can find the least, the 5 and the 2, the two denominators. You can find the least common multiple by multiplying the two denominators. 2 times 5 is 10. That is a shortcut. Now it'll work anytime you can get a common denominator. It just may not be the least common denominator. If you use that strategy, you'll probably have to simplify a lot more. But it's a strategy, and a lot of people use it, and it does work. So now I've got my common denominator. If you choose to do out the multiples of the numbers, we've got for the multiples of 5 or 5, 10, 15. You don't even need to go any further. And then the multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And here is our common denominator, 10, just like we found when we multiplied them. Now we've got to make our equal fractions. What do I multiply 5 by to get 10? And I multiply it by 2. So if I do it downstairs, I also have to do it upstairs. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. So what that's saying is the fraction 1/5 is equal to the fraction 2/10. Now 1/2, you should know 1/2 is a benchmark fraction, and by that I mean you should know anytime you multiply the top number by 2 and get the bottom number, it's equal to 1/2. So what will you multiply by 2 to get 10? 5. Half of 10 is 5. So that's one way of getting what 1/2 is equal to. If you can't think of it that way, you can always use our other strategy. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. Now they have common denominators. In other words, they both have the same bottom number. To add two fractions, they have to. Now, 4th graders, they haven't learned that yet. They really want to go 1 plus 1 is 2, 5 plus 2 is 7. You cannot do that. You have to have the same bottom number, the same common denominator. All you do is you bring that denominator down, put your fraction bar over it, and then you add your numerator, 7/10. So 1/5 plus 1/2 equals 7/10. Can I simplify that? Well, 7 is prime. It only has 1 and 7 as a factor. 10 is not a multiple of 7. Its factors are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. They share no common factor, therefore it is simplified. All right, let's do another easy one. This time we're going to do subtraction. And the first subtraction problem in your book, in your page 223, is number 9. 6/12 minus 1/3. Let me put that right here. I hope this video is coming out. Let's see how it looks. Number 9, yeah, it looks all right. Okay. All right, so we've got 6/12 minus 1/3. Again, just like in adding, you cannot subtract fractions with unlike denominators. You have to make them, find the common denominator, and then make your equal fractions. So I'm going to do my multiples of 3 first. And a strategy, just like we had the strategy up here of multiplying 2 times 5 to get our common denominator. Well, I could do that 3 times 12 and get 36. But I'm thinking, doesn't 3 go into 12? And it does. 3, 6, 9, 12. So that's another strategy. Look at your denominator, your smaller one. Does it go into the other one? If it does, that is your common denominator. Now, if you can't think about that, if that's too much or too new, then do out your multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. And then 1 times 3, 2 times 3, 3 times 3, 4 times 3. And then, of course, 12. 1 times 12. And boom, we've got our common denominator. 6/12 is equal to, well, it's equal to, guess what? 6/12. That was easy. What did we do to 3 to get 12? Well, we multiplied times 4. Don't forget, if you did it downstairs, you have to do it upstairs. 1 times 4 is 4. Now, they have a common denominator. Now I can subtract. I have to add or subtract, you have to have equal fractions with a common denominator. You cannot do 6 minus 1 is 5, 12 minus 3 is 9. It's wrong. You have to do this or you're going to get them all wrong. So now we can subtract. If you had 6/12 minus 4/12, you keep your denominator 12. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now, if you turned it in with 2 12s, you would get partial credit. That is halfway right. You always have to think, can I factor out? Can I simplify that fraction? And to do that, you've got to remember your divisibility rules. Y'all really need to memorize those rules. And the number one thing you look at, if they are both even, 2 is even, 12 is even, 2 can go into it. So let's factor out our 2's. Let's take out our 2's. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. And now I cancel out my 2's. My answer is 1/6. In other words, 6/12 minus 1/3 is equal to 1/6. Now I'm going on to number 17. And that's how you do them all. You do them just like this. Find your least common multiple, make your common denominators, add or subtract. All right, let's go on to 17. This is where we have to remember what we learned in our algebra unit. You can't just learn something back in the algebra unit and then forget about it and say, I don't need that for fractions. You need it all year long. You've got to remember your algebra unit. So look at number 17. 7/12 minus an unknown. And that's going to be equal to 1/8. Now, how am I going to find out what this is? Well, like I told y'all back when we did algebra is really just learning your fact families. So in order to help me see this more clearly, sometimes it's easier, a strategy to use is doing a simpler problem. Setting up a simpler problem helps me with the harder problem. So I'm going to do a simple problem. 5 minus something is going to give me 4. Now, everybody knows 5 minus 1 is 4. But how did we really get that? Well, we went 5 minus 4. That's going to give us 1. So if we take 7/12 minus 1/8, That's going to give us what this is together. These two together will add together to equal that. So to get what this missing unknown is, we're going to subtract. We're going to take 7/12 minus 1/8. Just like here, to find this missing number. I hope y'all can see this. Can y'all see? Oh, 5 minus something is 4. We're going to take 5 minus 4 will give us 1. Okay? So that's what we're going to do over here. 7/12 minus 1/8, and that's going to give us our missing number. And I like you to do your numbers up and down. For some reason, I think it's easier. And the first thing we got to do is find our common denominator. And when I'm listing out my multiples, we learned yesterday from our little math antics video, you can do it horizontal, you can do it vertical. I don't really care. So we start. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 8 is 24. There we go. We've already got our common denominator, and it is 24. It is the smallest number in both of these multiples. There it is. I take this one, and I put it right here, 24. And I take this one, and I put it right there. Now, 12 times what is 24? Well, 12 times 2. If I do it downstairs, I have to do it upstairs. 7 times 2 is 14. Now, 8 times 1, 2, 3 is 24. So 1 times 3 is 3. Now I can subtract. 14 24s minus 3 24s is 11 24s. And now let's check and see if we're right. 11 24s plus 3 24s, because 1/8 is 3 24s. Oh, and by the way, this cannot be simplified. Why? Well, 11 is one of those prime numbers. Remember, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, sorry, I almost said 27. 29, 31, 37, 41, 47, all are prime numbers. So 11 24s plus 3 24s, 11 24s plus 3 24s takes us back to our 14 24s, which simplifies to 7/12. Okay? I'm going to do one more. It is a multi-step problem. It is problem number 26. I thought it was kind of hard. The problem says, where is the thing there? Okay, number 26. The problem says Rory has 3/8 cup of milk. How much milk does she have left after she doubles the recipe for the smoothie? This is problem number 26 here. And to do it, you got to look over here on the table. So she has 5/8 cup of milk. She's going to use double the recipe. Her recipe calls for 1/4 cup milk. So the first thing we've got to figure out, if she doubles this, 1/4 plus 1/4, I hope y'all can see this. Let me check and make sure. Yeah, y'all can see that. 1/4 plus 1/4. Remember, we keep the same it's already got common denominators. We don't have to find a common denominator. It's already got one. So all we have to do is add our numerators. So she is using 2/4 of the 5/8. So how much is she to make her double batch of smoothies? her double recipe. So how much is she going to have left? Well, if she had 5/8 and she used 2/4, 1/4 cup plus 1/4 cup, you can see her recipe right here calls for 1/4 for one recipe. So if she doubles that, she's going to need 1/4 plus 1/4. So if she uses that, now we had to find a common denominator. Shortcut strategy. Can 4 go into 8? Yes. You can use 8 as your common denominator, and 5/8 stays 5/8. So how many 8s is 2/4? 2/4 is 1/2. 2 times 2 is 4. So what times 2 is 8? 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. So she used 4/8 cups. She had 5/8. She uses 4/8. She has 1/8 cup left, and y'all better show all this work on your work or you're not getting any credit. If you just go and bubble in B, you're not getting the problem correct. You have to do all the work that I do here. So good luck, and refer back to this little video. You have access to it, and do your work. Good luck.